This was definitely by far the hardest experience that we have ever had, yet at the same time the most joyful experience that we've ever had. And I always felt close to God. It just, he's moved in so much deeper, he had to, and became more tangible than ever before. It's drawn us closer, it's drawn our family closer. We definitely feel that having Mazelle was, we called her the giver for the 3 days that she was with us.
Before we were pregnant, I was in a year or two of just darkness. And when we found out about Mazelle, it just ignited in me a joy. It took over. The joy just took over me.
That's when things started to change for Heidi, like the sense of joy. Like anytime someone made her laugh, she almost couldn't stop laughing. And I know we posted a lot of videos of her laughing. Every time that she started laughing, couldn't stop, I'd just grab my phone and just I just kind of created this funny like tradition of like, I'm gonna catch you every time that you get on one of these laughing sprees. And so she just kept laughing and laughing and laughing, and we were trying to come up with a middle name, and I wanted it to have a lot of flow to it, like something like Mazelle Lee Davis. Heidi, she said, what about joy? You know, she reminded me of how much joy that she brought to her and the laughter that she brought. And she's like, she brought me joy. And I was like, I can't argue with that. Her middle name's gonna be Joy, for sure. When I think about scripture, and throughout scripture, there's so much suffering. Now being in the midst of it, I see how much that is the blessing, because I've never felt more in my own skin and more connected to everyone else and everything. It's no longer just kind of a pie in the sky thing, but I feel a sense of realness that I've never felt before. And Mazelle gave us that joy, and I'm learning what that word actually means. It's not just the laughter, but that suffering and that joy. It says in James 1 and 2, count it all joy when you face trials, because it produces character, which produces this, which produces that. And then at the end it says so you won't be lacking anything. And so I don't feel like Mazelle came into this world, gave us something, and then removed it, and now we're lacking this daughter that we so badly wanted. But she came in and she gave us 3 days of just pure giving. She gave us, and we sucked it all up for all it was worth. And we suffered and we laughed and we wept and we cried. We did everything we could do to enjoy those moments. And at the end, I know it's aiming towards lacking nothing, because we're finding God in it. We're finding each other in it. And just like Jesus says, like when he's with his disciples, like, I gotta go. And they're like, no. And he's like, it's gonna be better because I'll be with you. And when Mazelle came out, you know, and they hand her to her mother, you know, Heidi, I know you, and hand it to you. And I felt like, oh, I want her to be in my arms. I didn't feel connected yet because I wasn't connected. And then, you know, that's when she stopped breathing, and then she was taken away. It was like this constant disconnect, and then there was tubes. There's all these things, and as I sort of, I felt the most connected when she was actually gone, because I actually just kept breathing in those moments. We have her blanket, and I breathe in her moments, and it gives me strength, and she gets so much deeper than like, oh, she's over here, she's over there. Like, oh my gosh, she's changed us so much, and so she's gonna make us be better parents in the future, and because of who she is and who she is in here, she's not going away. She didn't go away.
When Mazelle was born, she was put on me skin to skin, and I had a moment where she looked up at me, and we just had a gaze, and I stayed in that just awe of birth and labor and this human being and this soul, my daughter. I just stayed in that awe moment for a really long time, you know, as they were giving CPR on me. I still was in awe. I couldn't leave that moment, and it was a blessing for me, because God just really kept me in this peaceful state, kind of, as I watched my daughter, and just really tried being her cheerleader at that moment when she was suffering.
Yeah.
And then when the moment was time to say goodbye, we were holding her, and Trevor urged me, like, take your shirt off, get skin to skin. And so we did. And that's when she died, was being skin to skin, and just coming into the world and leaving the world just on my bosom was, I don't know, I just treasure that moment.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful, and it was so peaceful. Each of those moments, the when she came and when she left, was so peaceful.
Mm-hmm. We felt just surrounded and poured over just by people's prayers and this overwhelming peace that was beyond our understanding. And I know it came from people's prayers. And I noticed that online, I was reading everyone singing, they kept praying for a miracle. I know that our definition of what that is might look a certain way, but it actually did happen. When she came to the hospital emergency room, she didn't have a heartbeat for almost a half hour. And her pH balance levels were so far off. And they never seen numbers so bad to the point where someone can actually be at all brought back. She was actually able to be sustained for 3 days. We think that those moments were people just crying out to God and saying, do a miracle, and it happened, you know. And just, you know, obviously birth is a miracle in and of itself, but I do believe that people's prayers and crying out for that, I think, gave us that, and we're very, very grateful.
We had this beautiful view. We could see the water too, and I was just like, God, you are so big yet so intimate, and you love us so much. Just that truth, like in my years of kind of the sorrow, and then this coming, and the joy, and then really, really like tangibly seeing his love has been really good for me.
When little Mazelle was in the NICU, I would visit her as often as I could and just stay with her, and I would weep over her and think about all the little things that I won't get to experience, and little outfits that we got her, and shoes and things that I wanted to see on her, and see her, teach her things, and just want to see her, who she was. I mean, I was always thinking, you know, you plan these stories in your head, you know, and I would sit there and I'd weep, and I'd cry over basically letting go of my story. And then I realized that was a dying that needed to happen, so that I can experience a better story. When that happened, and then I kind of realized, like, I have this moment in front of me, and I have this daughter right here, and I'm crying about an outfit that I'm not going to see on her, and although that's valid, and it holds its place, but I'm going to take in this moment right here, right now. And when I started doing that, oh my gosh, there was so much freedom in the moment that instead of thinking and trying to control and the letting go of control, when I let go of that and just sort of like, God, I don't know what I have. I don't know how long I have it, but I know that I have everything in you, and I know that you're not out to harm me. This is your story, and I'm invited into it, and I know that I'm protected in it, and I know that you have plans to give me a future and a hope. When she came out and she stopped breathing, in one sense, I wanted to cry out, like, why? But I didn't. I actually just was like, this is beyond my understanding. This is beyond my understanding. This is beyond my understanding. And it was, and it took me a while to at least, I don't fully understand, but I understand a lot more that I don't understand. And embracing that and giving into that has been the best thing that I could possibly do. I felt like I didn't need to control anything. I didn't feel like I needed to do anything besides just receive. And that's what I did. I just let Mazelle just give to me. And that's because I didn't have anything to give. I wasn't in control. I wanted to protect her. I wanted to help her, and I couldn't. And in that moment, I realized, you know, she was here to give, and so I realized that I can't do anything. So my only option is to take, and that is what I believe the gospel is that, you know, we can't conquer sin, we can't do that. But Jesus took that, and He wants to give us life, and we keep trying to understand it and fiddle with it. And we just got to take it. We just got to take it.